Hello everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. For those who are new here, my name is Katarina. So a little bit different video than I usually do. I'm going to be talking about my favorite things about card making. Plus, I have a story for you about what happened to me when I was recently using Nuvo drops. I'll tell you, lessons have been learned. I'm not sure if this is an interesting topic for you. The thing is, I didn't find anything similar on YouTube. I just wanted to make a video where I show my face that is not an intro or a haul, which I stopped doing anyway. So if you like this topic, give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments what are your favorite things about card making. So this is in no particular order, but the first thing I really have to mention, the thing I really love about card making is the sheer amount of products and techniques that I have discovered through card making that I would not have known otherwise. For example, such basic things as stamps and dies. They make it so easy to make beautiful cards with hardly any effort. But also things like stencils, heat embossing, dry embossing. These are one of my favorite things, but I don't think I would ever know them if I did not follow the card making community. For example, I also follow quite a few watercolor artists and watercolor tutorials, and they do time to time make cards, but compared to the proper card making, or how to call it, you know what I mean. It's not the same. If you think about such an absolute basic thing as card bases. When I watch watercolor artists making cards, at least those I've seen, they never use card bases. They always fold the watercolor cardstock in half. First of all, what a waste, but also it's quite a thick cardstock. It can crack when you fold it. Who would have thought that such a basic thing such as card bases can make you more advanced? Still in the section of products and techniques, another thing I would have never discovered are all the different coloring mediums. Sticking with the example of a watercolor artist, most of them use watercolors in pans or tubes. There are some that use other things as well, but it is very rare. It doesn't happen too often. However, in the card making world, it is rare that a card maker would use only one coloring medium. Usually they use multiple ones and they mix them up on regular basis. For example, you would see card makers not only use the typical watercolors, but also watercolor pencils, water-based markers. You would see them using also alcohol markers, usually Copics, but other brands as well. Pencil colors, usually from Faber-Castells or Prismas. What else? Stamping with colored inks. Distress inks. Distress inks are one of my favorite coloring mediums. They are so versatile. You can create beautiful backgrounds or use them with stencils, but they are also watercoloring medium, and I have never seen a watercolor artist using distress inks. What a shame. Another product I would have never known if I did not follow card makers are embellishments. They make the cards even more special. Such things like baker's twine, enamel dots, sequins, jewels, or Nuvo drops. As I said at the beginning of the video, I have a story for you. This happened to me a few weeks ago when I was making those ice lolly cards. I finished filming the cards, but then I thought I still didn't make those little samples that you put on top of the lids, so I decided to do that first. This is pretty much irrelevant to the story, but I'm trying to build a suspense. The first bottle worked perfectly, but the next bottle, I just could not get the liquid out, which is completely normal when it comes to Nuvo drops, nothing new. So I took a needle and I poked it into the applicators as you normally do. It didn't help. Then I took the applicator off. There was way too much liquid. I could not do anything. I put the applicator back on top of it and I squeezed it one more time, and I squeezed it way too hard, and the applicator came off and so did the liquid. This was bright pink Nuvo drops. I wish I had a picture, but I had completely other things on my mind than taking photos. The liquid was everywhere. It was on me. It was all over the table. It was on the carpet. I have white carpet, although it is one of those cheap ones from IKEA, so it doesn't matter. But still, what a mess. I have learned a lesson. Do not force it if it doesn't work, or use a box and do it there. But luckily, my cards weren't damaged. So yeah, that's the story. Be aware when you're using Nuvo drops or similar products. There are so many products and you do not need to have all of them, although it would be nice, But just by following card makers, you at least know that the products exist and that there is an option. For example, I have never used the layering stamps because mainly I would also need to buy colored inks, and I just prefer coloring myself using pencils or watercoloring mediums. But I think they are such a wonderful alternative when you are not good at coloring or you want to make really quick cards. Another thing I don't have and I find really cool is the hot foiling machine. I think the look is absolutely amazing. The cards are so beautiful, but it's expensive and I know I would not use it that often. So for me, it doesn't really make sense buying it, but who knows, maybe I will change my mind in the future. Anyways, that was my first favorite thing about card making. Pretty long and I'm losing my voice a little bit. But moving on to the next thing. The next thing I really love about card making is that you do not need to be a skilled artist to make beautiful cards. I would even say that the skill entry level is pretty much 0. For example, you can get a flower stamp set, stamp it even directly onto the card base just using a black ink, then add a sentiment and the card is done. You have a very simple, elegant black and white card. When I started card making, I started with just pattern paper and sentiments. Super easy. And once you start, you watch card making videos and you will expand your knowledge, your skills, and your product collection. However, the negative thing here, and I'm also thinking about making my least favorite things about card making as well, there are so many products you do not know where to start and it can be very overwhelming. But still, it doesn't require any special skills. So the next thing I really like about card making is that not only you can start without any special skills, but also you can start without spending a fortune and make beautiful cards, like the example I gave you earlier. Of course, card making can get expensive, and of course there are crafts that are much cheaper, like watercoloring, but there is higher learning curve. It will take a while to build up skills and paint beautiful pictures. For example, I also do crochet, and the materials for the type of crochet I do are quite inexpensive. I make doilies and the yarn is pretty cheap. However, again, there is higher learning curve and I don't really have any use for the doilies. I just use them as a prop when I take pictures of my cats. I was thinking making a nice woolly blanket, but the wool is so expensive. I rather go to a shop and buy it there. Yes, card making can get expensive as well. Die cutting machines, dies themselves cost a lot, hot foiling machine and so on. But you don't need those to start. Actually, except of card bases and some cardstock, you don't really need any of the typical products that card makers use. Last year, I was thinking what else I could create when it comes to cards because I don't work with any companies and I don't have easy access to latest releases. Plus, I was also trying to save money. So I started series where I create cards without using any major stamps and dies. I do use sentiment stamps, but that's optional. And I paint my own images. I mainly use watercolors, but I also used gouache, and I recently also used acrylic paints, which was a lot of fun. And yes, I said I'm watercoloring and painting my own images, while earlier I said there is a higher learning curve, but I'm not an artist and I'm not even trying to be one. Everything I paint is simple, beginner friendly. How often I've heard watercolor artists saying, this is for beginners, and I'm thinking like, no, it's not. The way how I make these cards is I think of something I want to paint, I look if there is a tutorial, I try it out, and if it looks okay, and okay is the word, I make a card. Perfection is not needed. And I paint on a smaller scale, that makes it already less intimidating. Most of the cards come in the size A6, in the US it would be A2. And even if you mess up, it doesn't matter. Unless you are an extreme perfectionist, you can still give the card to someone. For example, this card. The background is painted with acrylics and I messed up the sun. Not only it's not a perfect circle, but there are bubbles in it. But I still like it and I did give it to someone. However, if I were painting a proper picture to put on a wall to give it to someone as a present, I would not give it. It would need to be somewhat perfect. So if you are starting with card making and don't have money to buy stamps and dies and are looking for cheaper ways to make cards, these cards are definitely for you. And even if you are starting with watercoloring, check out these cards as well. They are way less intimidating and as I said, perfection is not really needed. I will leave a link to this series at the end of this video and also in the description. However, if you are not into painting your own images and making your cards from scratch and have some money to spend, you can buy some stamps. Small stamp sets are much cheaper. You can buy a coloring medium. I think I would start with cheap watercolors and watercolor pencils. They are really good for details and coloring smaller stamps. But what do you think, guys? What would you recommend as beginner coloring medium? Let me know in the comments. Okay, moving on to the next thing I really like about card making, and that is, compared to many other hobbies, card making is not only a great creative outlet that can take you the whole day or just an hour, but also it results in a great present for someone, so it's really useful. Not only to give as a birthday card or such, especially if you are giving a gift card, I think handmade card makes it even more special, but also you can make a pack of cards and give those to someone. If I compare it to something like creative planning, this is not a dig on planner people. You do you. I have a blank planner myself, I just don't decorate it. But at the end of the year, you put it on a shelf and that's it. Maybe you come back to it once in a blue moon. I just feel a little bit more satisfied when I create a card and I can give it to someone. Okay, I've been yapping for a while now, so this is going to be my last point about what I really like about card making, and that is the community. Everybody's so nice. Compared to the watercoloring community, I heard artists being accused of stealing, like plagiarism, which wasn't true, or other people telling artists that they are not artists, and so on. I have never seen this in the card making community. It can be that the card makers are not sharing, that might be possible, but in general, I think the card making community is really nice. So I think that is all for this video. Let me know in the comments what are your favorite things about card making. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And also subscribe if you haven't done so already. You can follow me on Instagram and Pinterest. On Pinterest, I have multiple boards with many card making ideas. The links to those you can find in the description below. If you are especially starting with card making and are looking for inspiration for cards on a budget, check out the playlist at the top where I have those cards that I make from scratch. And in the playlist below, you will find my YouTube shorts. These are vertical videos. They might not show on your regular feed if you don't watch YouTube shorts. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.